The legendary Indianapolis Motor Speedway is the venue for this weekend's Ferrari Challenge North America. We're on to round 4, a double-header weekend here again. As always, that in the background is the skyline of Indianapolis, the capital, of course, of the state of Indiana, the home of this brilliant circuit, which is, of course, also home to the Indy 500, which was here just a few short weeks ago. I can actually hear our voice booming out over the PA system here. It says it's not Indy 500 weekend, I say it's Ferrari Challenge North America. I can see Amanda Busick down there in the pit lane. My name's Andrew Coley. Alongside me is Tony Verlander. The cars are rolling out, getting themselves ready for qualifying. We had some rain overnight, but conditions now are good. Temperatures are up, and I don't think we're anticipating too much in the way of rough weather today. There were some storms forecast, but it looks like that may have moved on. But we'll see for tomorrow. We wouldn't mind a wet race. That would be fun. Let's take a look at the calendar so far this year, where we've been and where we're heading to finish off the American legs, of course, of our 7-round series. They finish off down in Italy. The Pagoda in the background, that's where our announcing booth is this weekend. Sonoma Raceway was where we started over in California, followed by Daytona International Speedway and Miami Autodrome, of course, in Florida. Some great racing at both of those venues. Now Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Brickyard, the famous yard of bricks, still here over the start-finish line, which is right underneath where we are. Then Watkins Glen International, Laguna Seca, that's the final round in America, and then Mugello for the finale Mondiale in October. So let's take a look at the track layout here at Indianapolis. Of course, it's a 2.5-mile oval around the outside. We are using some of that in the opposite direction that the Indy 500 uses. We've got 14 turn numbers around this track. It's fairly flat out in the middle, but it is very technical. To get a good lap time, you've got to get every corner absolutely bang on, especially that sequence 7, 8, 9, 10. All of those are linked together. But there's a man with me who knows much more about that side of things. Tony Verlander, great to have you back, mate. What an incredible venue. Look at that. You went to the museum yesterday, which is right in the front of the shot. It's just what a cracking place to come with Ferrari Challenge.
Yes, this is a very special place. A lot of history here, a lot of racing legends in various categories has raced here, and obviously this weekend, great chance for Ferrari racing days, Ferrari racing weekend. You mentioned about the racetrack. It is pretty simple on the track map when you look the layout here, but it's quite technical. You need to have a good setup. You need to have a low-speed grip, but you need to have a very fast car on the main straight. So a lot of challenges for the drivers and teams during this week in the practice sessions, and now is one of the key moments of the weekend, the first qualifying session.
Yeah, very much looking forward to getting things underway. We have another member of our team who, of course, is down on pit road. Welcome back, Amanda Busick.
Good morning, gentlemen. What a pleasure it is to be here at the racing capital of the world in Indianapolis, Indiana, for round 4 of Ferrari Challenge North America. This is one of the iconic stops that we have of the season. We'll have over 60 Ferrari 296s taking to qualifying here around those 14 turns, as you were talking about. You look over the season, we have had 15 different total pole sitters this year. As we're looking to add to that number here today, you look across the classes, we're going to see an onboard later today during the race from Massimo Carina, who's just been dominant here this season on pole. As we go on to the other classes, right now we have lined up the Trofeo Pirelli AM guys that are about to go out. I go back to 2021. It was an electric weekend for Brad Faber, who's also been setting a lot of poles here this season. It was his very first event with the Ferrari Challenge North America season. Andrew, he showed up, he was on pole, fastest lap, won race number 1, on pole, fastest lap, won race number 2. He would love to see that pole here again today, but I had our camera guys start on the bricks here, because what Ferrari has done this weekend, we have scheduled time to kiss the bricks here in race 1 and race 2. So an electric day ahead. I can't wait to get started. It's time for qualifying, guys.
Thank you, Amanda. Great to have you back with us this weekend. I want to kiss the bricks. Am I allowed to kiss the bricks, Tony, or do you have to win here to kiss the bricks? What's the rules on this situation?
I think we need to control a little bit, check the rules, but I think it's better to win first and kiss the bricks after that.
Okay, maybe I'll kiss the bricks in the paddock, you know, not on the racetrack. Mate, it's like consecrated ground, isn't it? We're not allowed to kiss it. Have you won here?
Not really. The funny fact is, the last year was the first season that I actually raced here.
No way.
So, and then in 2 or 3 weeks, I raced twice. I did the 6-hour and the 8-hour race, and was a nice experience.
Yeah, okay, awesome. Tony, great to have you alongside. Looking forward to getting cars out on track. We're going to get our timing screens kicked off up here in commentary, and then we'll start to show you around this fantastic circuit. Opposite direction, Tony, you said yesterday to what the IndyCar runners use here.
Yeah, we use part of the oval, but the main straight here we call the opposite direction. Then braking into turn one is very difficult. You need to nail it right. It's better to almost overshoot the turn one a little bit instead of coming short with the braking distance. And then we have a sequence of corners where you need to have the right flow through the corners, going to the back straight, and then again a very technical section where you need to ride the curbs. With GT cars, the cornering is a bit more challenging here. So with the weight and the ride height of the cars, you need to ride those curbs and use them quite aggressively to have a good lap time.
So it's really super technical, isn't it? We were talking to a couple of the drivers at breakfast this morning, and they were saying just, tapping a curb in the wrong place can cost you 0.3 of a second, and 0.3 of a second will be enough to drop you fairly well down the order. The Pirelli Am runners are up first. They're rolling out now from pit road. The vast grandstands that are here, the bleachers. It's just an incredible venue. You drive in and just the scale of it is mind-blowing, isn't it? I mean, Daytona was pretty mind-blowing for me as well. All these tracks are new for me this year. My first season with Ferrari Challenge North America. I've been lucky to be in motorsport for some 2 decades now, which makes me feel very old. But not visited any of the tracks, and it's just such a great list of tracks. These drivers are, I guess that's why they keep coming back to Ferrari Challenge, isn't it? They mix the circuits up each year. We have places which we come every season, but they're cracking venues.
Yeah, we choose for our calendar the best places in the United States, and this is one of them. For a European driver, just the size of this place, all the stadium, all the grandstand, it has like a sports stadium feel when you look at this place. And also when you add everything together, racing is present, it's the future, but also the past. All the great races, all the legends that raced here. F1 has been here, IndyCar races here on oval and also on this course that we're using today. So just a very special place.
1909 was when the circuit was built. It was the first purpose-built motor racing venue in the USA. Second in the world is Brooklands was an oval which was close to London. Then the Brickyard came along, and where Brooklands was surfaced with concrete, this place was surfaced with bricks. And that's why, of course, it's known as the Brickyard, and why we have that incredible yard of bricks which is at the start-finish line.
Yeah, compared to the practice session, now the drivers are finding a track with different temperature, different grip levels. So in the beginning of the session, you need to just find the right balance, and with your racing rhythm, the driving rhythm, it's not clear that you can drive with the same input like yesterday. We see some mixed, some little damp places on track. It's for sure for slicks, but still the drivers need to be patient just to build up your speed and adapt to the track conditions.
Yeah, temperatures are really different from yesterday as well. For the first time this weekend, I've stuck a top on. Now we are in, we're in an air-conditioned room, but it's cold. Yesterday, even in the air conditioning, it was hot. Everybody was hot yesterday. It was like up 30 Celsius, 100 Fahrenheit. It was really very warm, and I think the temperatures coming down will help the drivers a bit. I was talking to Dylan Medler this morning, one of the front runners from Trofeo Pirelli, and he was saying there's no way you'll get more than 3 laps. 1 warm-up lap, 2 hot laps, and that's it. The guys in Copper Shell, they were more feeling they might get 4 laps, but of course they're not using the car quite as hard as the Trofeo Pirelli guys are.
Yeah, when you are 100% with your race car, then it's the fine details, like you mentioned. With new tires, you have 1 or maybe 2 laps that you need to nail everything right. We saw in the picture earlier, Ray Acosta, I had a chat with him this morning. He's fresh from another race. He was in Europe racing in Brno. He said, today, bring me rain, bring me sunshine, I'll put on a show. He missed the first day of practice on Wednesday, but he's confident about today, even fine-tuning the setup a little bit, and of course the mechanic fine-tuned stuff for today, so he was confident.
Great
I think
stuff.
we had somebody touching the wall going into one.
Yeah, we have. Look at the debris in the road. So, what's the flag situation? No flags on our timing screen at the moment. We've got the red and yellow striped flag out, which is slippery conditions normally, that flag. It looks almost like the polystyrene markers that you see when somebody hits one on the side of the road. I can't see any tire marks on the wall, but Either way, I mean, also damp conditions. It may just be that there's a damp patch in turn 1 they're warning the drivers about. We were following Sebastian Mascaro, and now with Burrows as we come through. And at the minute, those two guys are the leaders. 128.7 for Mascaro, 131.0 for Burrows. Acosta's P3, 131.3. And those times will come down as they start to push. Christopher Cagnazzi. He's coming past us on the front straight now. So he's heading down towards turn 1. So this is where the flags were out. You see just a slight... there we go. That'll be white. Robin Williams has pulled over to the side of the road, potentially from that wall tap, and that is, I'm speaking out of the announcing booth window, I think maybe straight on from turn 1. So back towards the infield. We'll try and guide you around a lap with someone when we get a chance. We'll try and follow somebody around a whole lap so we can pick up whereabouts we are. This is John Horsch coming around towards the end of the lap. That's turn 12, the right-hander that drops off the banking into 13, the left. And then this right-hander here is the one onto the front straight. And Tony, you were saying this corner is absolutely crucial.
Yeah, it's very important to have a good run, exit from turn 13. Also important to have a good racing line through 14. It's not easy corner to go through flat, full throttle. So, and then obviously just to have a good speed on this main straight. Good exit from 13, you gain a couple of tenths on the main straight. Bad exit and you may lose up to half a second.
Turn 1 is a kind of a 90-degree right-hander as you follow Magnaszewski through turn 3, which tightens into 4. So you can accelerate through 2 and 3, then tightening into 4. Then you've got the chicane here, which is 5 and 6 onto the back straight. Great to get our heads around the circuit layout here in the middle. Not much elevation change, Tony. I mean, you know, some places hide it on the TV. In Daytona, there was a little up and down in the middle, but I think here less so.
Yeah, it's quite smooth lap. Not a lot of elevation changes. But there is some tricky places, like you mentioned, the back straight going into 7. Not an easy corner to have a good reference for your braking point. Looks like you're heading straight towards the wall, and then you turn 90 degrees to left, and you need to have a good reference point and really hit those marks every lap.
We were on board with Brad Fowler there. He's obviously hitting his marks because his onboard telemetry is showing that he's 7 tenths of a second up. Took another 10th off. He is currently the fastest driver out there. 124.3, so the times have tumbled massively as the drivers have got on top of the conditions. There's 5 minutes left in the session. That's Fowler's gone round, so that's a shame because that was a hot lap. That was a really good lap he was on from the onboard. You can see it was purple.
Yeah, I think Fowler spun in corner 13. Also a very tricky corner where you battle a little bit with understeer and oversteer. Now we see on replay he actually runs to the grass on the right hand side, trying to have and use the track as much as he can, but then he dropped the right hand side wheels on the grass and then luckily avoiding the barriers.
Ophir Levy, you're looking at now. Yeah, he did well, didn't he? You can see just a little lock up on the grass. I think as the tyre wall was getting closer, he increased the brake pressure just a little bit and locked the front left. But the important thing is to keep it out the wall, and we've had some significant drivers have a little wall tap here this weekend. Dylan Medler, actually, I saw him at breakfast this morning. I said, "How's it going?" He goes, "Oh, fine, apart from the incident on Thursday when we arrived late on Thursday night." I said, "Oh, what happened?" So I had a little problem. I was like, "Come on, Dylan, what happened?" He said, "Okay, I span and we touched the wall." And he doesn't like it, you know. And I get that, but I said, "Look, you just don't do it today." And he agreed. You know, this is the game day. They've had plenty of testing this week. Nobody ever wants to damage a car, but that's the time to do it. Ray Acosta 0.088 off, Cagnazzi 0.1 back, Burrows 0.027. Super close at the top.
Yeah, now we see Fowler on the other lap. I think he was like a cool down lap with the mistake he had, and now he's launching himself to another flying lap.
Another push lap to finish the session off at 3:23. They should get another couple of laps in if you're out on track right now. There's Ray Acosta. So Acosta's P2 0.088 back. So that is a tiny margin. Can he get it done? Acosta on the brakes up towards the wall through that final chicane. We know he's a challenger from just what that tiny time difference is. Now then, can he get it done?
It's looking good. Had a good racing line through the last sector and some slow speed corners.
Let's see as he comes down over the line. Not enough, it seems, so the time remains where it was. Let me get last lap up, and then we can have a look and see where he was. Yeah, 1:24.6 on that last one for him. Beckman goes quickest. So top of the table. 0.2 of a second ahead. I'm going to try and find him out there on track for you. Looking at Sebastian Mascaro, who is in P8 at the moment.
And Mascaro is demonstrating how much they use the track, how much curbing you use on that part of the racetrack, and really trying to do the shortest distance and use a lot of curb.
Here is Esteban Beckman, your pole sitter currently, with 1:42 to go, and most people having done about 6 laps. Tony, do you think there's enough left in the tyres or no?
I think that's more or less the limit, depending on driver, how fast, how quick you were on those early laps. If you were building up more the pressures, taking it easy early on, this is the time to do it now, but I think most of the drivers have showed their best performance.
Looking at Dave Musial continuing on our damp patch circuit here at Indianapolis. Beckman for Ferrari of Seattle, from Falva of Ferrari San Francisco. Ray Acosta for the collection. That's your top 3 at the moment. .52 seconds remain. You can see the line of bricks. That is them just being crossed over now in the background. So we were expecting probably the best lap times to come within the first few laps, up to 3, but it looks like Beckman did his on lap 5, so maybe a little bit more tyre life than they were thinking. Musial through the long right, and it tightens there. You can see maybe a little bit deep on the exit. Acosta, who's in 3rd, only 3/10 off. Is there enough tyre life left for him to challenge or not, as he comes underneath the very high grandstands down at gate number 2, the entrance to the circuit we're using this weekend? Drops into 12 and then 13. 13 is a lot, and he goes in the pits, right? So Acosta's decided that enough is enough. The checkered flag is out on the front straightaway, and Acosta has decided to bring it in. You may have heard the description of the situation there. It's fine. They're very happy with that. Nicely done. So with the flag out, unless somebody does a blinding lap on this last one, it is going to be Esteban Beckman who's going to take the pole here at Indianapolis, the first of our 4 poles. New driver for us this season. Got to be pleased with that on your debut weekend in 2025.
Yeah, we didn't see the full lap, but we did see Beckman's performance on track, and it looked really smooth on the technical part. And often the smooth is the key to fast lap times and good performance. So great start for the day.
Indeed, nicely done. Christopher Cagnazzi comes in P4. There he is in the number 19. Cagnazzi, of course, took one of the wins in Daytona earlier on this year. And it'll only be a few minutes before we have our next session out on track. So stay with us. Amanda Busik's down in the pit lane, and she will be... okay, I think we can... I'd say Amanda is already with Esteban Beckman.
Yeah, Andrew just got a big hug and kiss from his dad, and he's just taking in this moment as saying, wow, I can't believe I just did this in his very first race in Ferrari Challenge. Esteban Beckman will start on pole. You said you're not even sure what you did out there. How did you piece together such a dynamic lap at IMS?
I don't know. I was just pushing, you know. I really want this. And it was just the hard work by the team and everybody involved in Ferrari Seattle. And a great car, and it's my coach, and you know, everything just felt great. You know, it was great.
5 months ago, you started Corsa Pilota. You transitioned into Club Challenge. Now you'll race for a trophy today, starting from taking these cars to the green flag. But what I loved was when you got out of your Ferrari, your team just went nuts. How much does their support mean to you?
Oh no, it means everything. It wouldn't be possible without them. You know, like how I've grown as a driver is because of them. It's nothing, you know, supernatural. It's the teamwork and all of us working together to be able to put performances like this, you know. So, yeah, it's great.
Congratulations, Esteban Beckman on pole, the rookie in Trofeo Pirelli AM.
Nicely done. A big round of applause from his team. Thoroughly deserved. Mexican driver takes pole position here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway with a brilliant lap, some 0.276 of a second ahead of P2. Nicely done. Congratulations and welcome to Ferrari Challenge North America. What a way to start.
And also great stories. This is exactly what Ferrari has planned for our drivers. Go through Corso Pilota, do Club Challenge, and then you are ready to race here with us. And this is from Esteban, a great demonstration of his skills, but also the different ladders that Ferrari is providing to our drivers.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And Esteban Beckman with the pole, 124.079. Brad Falvera in P2, Ray Acosta P3, Christopher Cagnazzi, Martin Burrows, Sebastian Mascara, Jay Logan, and Dave Musial are your top 8. Moving on, Matthew Deal, Ophir Levy, Gregory Hopkins, Eric Marston, John Horsch, Gerdas Venceslavas, Dan Magnaszewski down to P15, 2.2 seconds down to that point. And Robert McWilliams, who we think tapped the wall in turn 1 and brought the slippery surface flag out early on in the session, if you were with us from the start. Right, Trofeo Pirelli out on track now. This is where we've seen a really hot championship battle out at the front between our 3 youngsters, Kaminsky, Medler and Perina. There are 2 Perinas in this one. Massimo Perina is the younger of the 2. Roberto is his uncle. Expecting this to be maybe somewhat a shorter session, Tony, because if these guys are on the absolute limit from the start, they've all been saying they don't think they can get more than 3 laps out. So they're going to have to get this right. I'm guessing they're going to look for some space out there first of all.
Yeah, let's say our Pirelli drivers are the fastest 296 GT or challenge drivers, and all the fine details are up to a task. So how to find the peak on the tires, how to use the best performance from the tires. Like you said, it might be only one flying lap that makes the difference, and if you're out there for several laps, you may fine-tune your driving, but the tires have already lost some performance. So normally our Pirelli drivers post the fastest laps of the weekend, and we have a lot of talent on track in the next session, so it's very interesting to see how it turns out.
It is. We have an onboard with Massimo Perina this weekend. Perina has had 4 of the 6 poles this year, so he took a double pole in Sonoma, the second one in Daytona and the second one in Miami, so we might even get lucky and ride on board with the 27. You can see you're looking at right now, that's where our onboard camera is. We also took a look a moment ago at a new livery for Ethan McWilliams. Okay, we're still waiting on, yeah, we are. Look at that at the front right. That's definitely had a little wall tap. There we are. Not too much work for the team, but still frustrating in qualifying, and obviously drops him down the order.
Yeah, when you touch the wall, what is sometimes you have a very heavy hit and the damage is very low. Sometimes it feels like just a tap on the wall, and then you break some critical parts on the race car. So it's always a task for the mechanics and team to find out in the end how big of a damage and how long it takes to repair.
Tony Davis. And that is the livery which I was talking about for Ethan McWilliams. I think that's a new livery. They're keen on changing their liveries, these drivers. They like making the announcer's job as hard as possible. But it looks cool. I'll give them that. I do like a good livery.
Yeah, great graphics on on our challenge cars, and beautiful. Some of them change color with the sunlight, and some of them take the graphics further. All the trailers, everything, even the drink bottle has the same color scheme as the race car.
Super cool, super cool. Right, we're going to roll out onto track now. You can see a few golfers there. If you're wondering where they are, they're in the infield. There is a golf course in the infield. Very cool indeed. Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Welcome along if you're just joining us. The second of our 4 qualifying sessions for day 1. Of course, they'll go qualifying again tomorrow morning. Really keen to see this one. I say you've got to find some space, and immediately people getting themselves into position. They know they cannot get balked, Tony, on their push lap. If they're going to get 2 opportunities at it, you know, we're looking at an out lap and then 2 push laps. Potentially that's it for these guys.
And also interesting thing is we often talk about the slipstream, so trying to follow another car to get more speed on the main straight. But the tricky part is you need to still have the space to brake where you want to brake, where's the performance of your race car. If you lose something in the corners, the slipstream is not enough to give you an advantage. So normally on my side, I prefer a clear track ahead of me, so then you can really optimize everything you do out there, everything you do on racetrack, instead of trying to avoid other drivers or be careful what the other drivers are doing. So clear track normally is the key to a great qualifying.
Yeah, I mean, both the straights here are followed by a 90-degree corner, aren't they? So if you're offline with the slipstream, you're going to lose a lot of time on turning into those next corners. Ideally, you want it coming on to the start-finish straight, don't you, off turn 14, but there's only 9 cars in the session, so you're not going to get lucky and come out of that last corner and get a tow onto the start-finish straight. So let's see, Gray Falvra in the 97, the silver and black car you're looking at, and here is Johnny Kaminsky, who is 16 years old.
Yeah, we see most of the drivers weaving a little bit, using the brakes to create heat. So prepare the brakes, but also the temperature from the brake disc, it goes through the wheel to the tire. So this is a combination of how to build the grip, how to build the temperature on tires.
Yeah, indeed. Really excited to see who goes quickest here. Kaminsky has had a pole in the first race at Daytona, the youngest ever pole sitter. Unfortunately, he hasn't managed to get a win just yet. He had a P2 in Miami, 3 P3s. If he gets a win, I mean, he immediately becomes the youngest ever winner in Ferrari Challenge, doesn't he? Worldwide, I'm pretty sure. Definitely in America. Ethan McWilliams coming round. So now we should be getting towards push laps now. 9 minutes remaining in the session, right the way to the grass. So McWilliams means business here as he comes through the final 2 corners. You can hear there just the pop as the gear goes up and onto the front straight now. Here we go. McWilliams then is going to trip the timing line for the first time. 125.9. That's the 2 Perinas coming through in the background. Massimo Perina with the red nose on the car, and in the background with the white nose is Roberto's just come through. Braking smoothly there, Massimo. Tony, talk us through this.
Yeah, we saw turn 1, a little bit of movement with the race car turning into turn 1, smooth through turn 2, then a long right-hander turn 3 into a turn 4, where you battle a little bit with initial understeer, that then going on power, there's a little bit of oversteer. Ride those curbs. You can see that the damping of the car is pretty smooth, accepting the curbs really well. We can see the bumps, the disconnection braking here. The car moves from side to side, so the driver really needs to control. Again, like a 90-degree corner where you need to brake really late. Ride these curves through the S's. You can hear the sound inside the race car where you hit those curves, and Massimo's lap is looking really good.
Great to see a few more of the technical points of this circuit. You see the car was still underweight, if you like, coming out of turn 4 into 5 and 6. Those corners are closer than you think. And you can see from the attitude in the car there that he's really trying hard on this lap. The current pole is Falvra with a 125.6, but this will be the first of our proper push laps round onto the front straight. Massimo Perina is close to the wall. Is he going to do enough as he comes over the line? He does. Perina goes to pole 123.584. This should be a pretty frantic session. Roberto Perina goes into P2, 124.531. Davis moves up to P4. McWilliams is dumped down into P3 at the moment. Medler's currently down in P6. Here comes Medler now. So Dylan Medler through the final couple of corners. Has he put in a lap here as he rides the curbs high? Gets to Pirelli with a little bit of air underneath it as he comes off the top of that big curb. Through the left and then the right. This is a crucial lap for Medler after a tricky weekend in Miami. He'll want to be up front. He's already said how tricky turn 1 is. Medler to the line. Can he deny Perina over the bricks? He can. Medler goes quickest, 123.467. There's a tenth of a second in between them. Here comes Kaminsky now through the final section of the lap. And then we'll see them all again in one lap's time. Kaminsky on the gas hard. You can hear a little bit of wheel spin as he exits through there. Pirelli's crying out as he comes onto the front straight. Here comes 16-year-old Kaminsky. Has he done enough? Where's he going to slot in? Oh, it's 129.3, so warm-up lap for Kaminsky, unless he made a mistake out there, Tony.
Yeah, now the fight for the pole position is on. All the drivers are trying the maximum and to really show the performance they got from the race car. Perina is really showing that he's using the track everywhere, like from left to right, riding the curbs, and also very close to the wall on the main straight.
Yeah, Kaminsky, I've just checked, and Kaminsky's only on his second lap. The others are on lap 3. Massimo Perina, top again, 123.2, moves back up, so he's now 0.255 of a second ahead. Dave Musial Jr. is in 6th at the moment. Tony Davis with another lap into 5th. Musial Jr.
Dylan Medler's this lap is very important, so he's on the second flying lap, and the pressures are still coming up, and this is the best performance from the tires.
So Kaminsky, interestingly, in P9 at the moment, has gone out a lap behind everybody else. So is he assuming that some of them are going to come in as Medler goes out really wide over the line? Stays P2, but he does halve the gap. So it was 0.225, it's now 0.114. Now Kaminsky's on a push lap. The nose of the car turns in with intent through that left hand up. He's up at 13 through 14 now, and you can even see a little bit of pitch and roll in the car as he comes through. Out over the white lines, out towards the wall. What's Kaminsky got as he comes over the bricks here? The timing line into P3. So our 3 championship front runners are P1, 2, 3. Perina, Medler, Kaminsky separated by less than 0.3 of a second. Oh, a little bit of movement on the brakes at the end of the straight, Tony.
Yeah, also Kaminsky has a little bit of different racing line coming out of 13. Actually, Roberto Perina is now using the same line, so coming a bit wider exit of 13, so he's preparing the car a little bit less for the long, fast turn 14 instead of these two, Dylan Medler and Massimo Perina. A little bit slower exit of 13, but they have a better line through 14.
So better exit speed onto the straight, or?
Yeah, they prepare the car more. Car is more to the left-hand side, so they have more smooth ride through turn 14.
Great stuff, Tony Villander, our Ferrari ambassador, GT racer, kart team owner.
Yeah, back to the first steps of my racing career. So
yeah,
running
fantastic.
A small racing team with go-karts in Finland. Yes.
They're racing this weekend as well, so good luck to the team out in Finland. Here we go, McCarthy through the left-hander, currently sitting P9. He's 2/10 off being able to move up a position, so a good lap here would see him move up. There's nothing in it across the whole field. 1.6 from top to bottom. McCarthy stays in P9 at the moment, 1.4 off the pole lap. 3 minutes 30 left and 4 laps down. Kaminsky comes over the line again for his 5th lap. Medler, I think, has only done 4, so Medler might have parked it already. And I think that's probably going to be it, Tony, just judging by the pace of the cars now that they're out there. 0.3 of a second across those top 3. Good stuff.
Yeah, driver behind the wheel, he really feels where is the grip level and how's the performance been so far. If driver feels like he has more still to be gained, go for another flying lap, see the half distance, what is the predicted lap time on the steering wheel. If you are improving, push the lap to the end. If not, beat the next lap. So you need to also save the tires for the afternoon race.
Yeah. Some of the drivers saying they saw a significant drop-off after around 15 minutes yesterday on a race simulation, but the temperatures were much higher than they are today. So some of the other drivers saying, look, the big drop-off is after the first 3-4 laps, and then after that it's pretty linear. So with 2 minutes 27 left on the clock, we are seeing drivers start to come into the pits now. Kaminsky rolls in. Kaminsky's ended up fourth. Roberto Perina's gone in ahead. So Roberto Perina has gone in on a very late lap, has got ahead of Kaminsky. What's the interval between those two? Not a lot. Oh, wow. Okay, a hundredth of a second. So 100th of a second, Perina took P3 off Kaminsky by. So, okay, there was a lap left. There was a lap left just late in the session. You can hear, can't you, just a mild squeal from the Pirellis up at the end of the straight in turn one. Medler, I think, was quite cautious at turn one, Tony. He said, you know, you can't have people coming from row 5 looking for row 1. It's a tight corner, and if somebody's optimistic, I guess he's probably feeling a little bit hurt from Miami too. Yeah, he was collected twice there. The first day was the side-by-side pass. The stewards felt that he could have looked and not seen, but on the second day, undoubtedly collected. You know, Kaminsky got him at the end of the straight. We know Kaminsky wouldn't have meant to do it, but that doesn't change it for Medler. 2 days in a row, you've been collected. I can understand why he'd be a bit nervous about turn one.
Yeah, Dylan was doing a perfect weekend in Miami, and then 2 unfortunate situations where both ended up hurting his race, the final result in Miami. Here, when you have such a long straight line, so you have a lot of top speed coming into turn one, and when you have a tight hairpin 90-degree corner, it's a risky business because, like you said, somebody from the rear might misjudge again and then ends up spinning the cars ahead. Or the other thing is, if you try to be too cautious, it's actually you that is creating more pressure. You just really need to go for it and be ready for almost everything. That is the thing with the tight corner. Let's say turn one when you have the race start.
It's so hard because you end up watching your mirrors. The trouble is you're watching your mirrors, waiting for if something's going to happen, and at that point you're not looking through the corner, and yeah, it can be tricky.
Yeah, eyes forward is always the key to the good start.
Checkered flag is out, but I think all of the cars are in the pit lane already because, as we said, the optimum lap time in the Pirellis is within the first 3 to 4 laps. So it is Massimo Perina who takes the pole here in Indianapolis on day 1 of round number 4. And that is his 5th pole position of the year. It's a brilliant performance. So Massimo has had a pole at every track we've been to. I think that's impressive, Tony.
Massimo showed already last year with the still 488 challenge car, great performance. He was in control in qualifying, race starts, restarts, even difficult track conditions. So we mentioned last year that it's interesting to see him upgrade to 296 and see where he's at with the other Pirelli drivers, and he's really showed great performance. And already thinking about the future, is interesting to see Dylan and Massimo at the World Finals.
Yes.
When they really measure the speed with all the European drivers. So championship here in North America is great, but then another extra flavor when you measure the speed with all the top drivers from around the world.
So the Copper Shell Am drivers are heading out on track, but Amanda Busick is with our pole sitter, Massimo Perina.
And another pole on the day will stick with the MG1 guys, this time with Massimo Perina, as you said, a pole at every track this season. And you just told me off camera, wow, that was close. How do you and Dylan motivate each other?
Well, iron sharpens iron, so the competition really allows us to get better from each other and just improve and make sure that this series is as fast and young as it is.
As we see the sun kind of shining over on IMS right now, what can you tell us about the track, Massimo?
It's as fast as it's been all weekend. We've been here since Wednesday, obviously, and the evolution has been incredible. The amount of rubber that's been down and the amount of time that just keeps getting taken out of every single session, every day is incredible.
Well, that is a nice tease as we see those Ferrari 296 and Coppa Shell Am hit the track, guys.
Thank you, Amanda. Yeah, he's very happy, isn't he? But he's super cool about it as well. He knows there's still a job to be done. Interesting what you said about the track conditions, Tony, being the fastest they are. Is that a combination of rubber and the slightly lower temperatures?
Yeah, I mean, when you have drivers and cars on track for several days, then the conditions just keep improving. But also drivers improve their driving skills, get everything fine-tuned each corner with the braking point, with the right gear, how to accelerate, where to set up the traction control, all the details, the ride height of the car, the pressures, everything is the combination what you learned in the last 2-3 days. It's in qualifying, and that's normally where you set the fastest lap time of the weekend.
You're looking at Gabe Pribb down the front straight, who has not been off the podium all season. 1 win, 2 seconds, 3/3, absolutely fantastic performance. Currently in P1 in Coppershell-Am. And now we're looking at Jeffrey Nunberg. Jeffrey has had a win, a second and a third this year. Unfortunately retired in Daytona's first race. So lost some points there, but had that incredible fight back, I think it was the following day. Didn't start qualifying on the second day in Daytona, I guess, because the team was still working out the issues from day one. And fought his way through the field to a brilliant P3. So it's great drives in this class. It's part of the ladder. If you're new to the series, it's Coppershell-Am, then Coppershell, Trofeo Pirelli-Am, and then Trofeo Pirelli. There's that bumpy braking zone at the end of the straight, the telltale giveaway marks of the little black marks on the road where the Pirelli tyres are locked as they go over the bumps. Steve Check. So Steve's back after that crash in Miami. Good to see him back in the car, because I think, if I remember correctly, he cracked a rib or something, didn't he, in Miami? I know he wasn't in too good shape. So, Steve, welcome back. Great to have you back on track with us here at Indianapolis. You'll have been glad that this is actually the biggest break since the season began, because it was quite close together between Sonoma, Daytona and Miami, and now just a little break before we came to IMS.
Yeah, it's an intense season, a lot of preseason testing, and also these racing weekends, they're pretty long. You start from Wednesday, so you get into a nice groove in the beginning of the season, and like you mentioned, it's good to have a little break, and then we go for the second part of the season.
Edvard Tugien. Best finish of a 14th this year. There was a 13th at Daytona, but that was with a DNF, so we'll go with the race finishes. Progress through these the ladder, Tony, is really important for these drivers, isn't it? As you've mentioned already, we've seen a pole sitter who's on his debut here, but very young. A lot of our drivers are slightly older, successful business people who've come to racing maybe later. It's something they've dreamt of all their lives, and then they come into the program and they have a great way to progress up through Coppershell and into Trofeo Pirelli if they want to.
Yeah, this Ferrari Challenge allows us to have different drivers with a different background. Ferrari has really boosted the fact that Ferrari Challenge is not only for amateur drivers, it's also for talented young drivers coming through from Corso Pilota to Club Challenge, and then even go up to GT3 or even the hypercar racing. Niklas Nielsen is a great example. He was fighting with Max Verstappen in go-karts. Then he promoted himself through Ferrari Challenge, did GT cars, LMP2 cars, and now he's a Le Mans winner in our hypercar driver lineup. So that's a great demonstration of what you can achieve with Ferrari family when you have the right tools, the right people around you, but you have the pure talent. So Niklas is first of all, very nice young man, but also great example what you can do in the Ferrari family.
Yeah, how the system works. It really does work to get up to hypercar. And another win at Le Mans for Ferrari, absolutely incredible. Owens through the right-hander. There's a little dip there, isn't there, at the curb? I think the thing about going GT racing as well, as a young driver, if you're, and you say we've got 3 or 4 young drivers now who are definitely looking to make a career as racing drivers. If you do single-seaters, it's incredibly expensive and there aren't that many opportunities. When you go endurance racing and you look at things like Le Mans where there are 3 drivers in the car, there are so many more opportunities in endurance racing to make a living as a driver than there are in single-seaters.
That's true. I mean, the world has opened more. In the past, the single-seaters was the only route for young drivers, but now GT racing has really raised its profile. There is championships around the world. There's a lot of car manufacturers that need platinum, gold, silver drivers
yes.
in their driver lineup. So there's a lot of requests.
Too late on the brakes there in the background. You could see over the bumps immediately. that they were going to end up going straight on, didn't catch the number on the car, but you just saw straight away, Tony, that the nose of the car was high as they came across and just ran deep.
Yeah, we mentioned earlier breaking into 7 is a tricky part because you're on the back straight and you're just pointing towards the wall, and you need to have right reference marks for your braking point. Need to brake late enough to have a good rotation through that turn 7. If you brake too early, then you have the wrong rhythm. You play with the brake and the throttle at the wrong time. So driver we saw there just overshot the braking, trying to get everything out of the brakes and downshifting at the same time.
Yeah, and if you ask just a little bit too much to the tyres, unfortunately, that's what happens if you just get it a bit wrong on the brakes. At the minute, Hrib leads with 4 minutes 48 left. 125.4 is a good lap time. Nürnberg is only 0.2 behind. Then Sperman 1.3. Fabian Sperman is the winner, of course, in Daytona. The first race at Daytona. I'm trying to remember if he was moved up. No, he wasn't, of course. He's still in this one, yeah. So he's a P1 there. He had a P4 at Daytona the following day. Didn't go his way in Miami, though. Amanda Busick down in pit lane. What do you got on Tom Petramalo for us?
Hey, Andrew, I'm standing by with his son who is watching onboards as well as timing and scoring. Former champ in the series. How hard is this position for you, though, Michael?
I tell you, it's a lot more difficult to be watching than it is to be behind the wheel actually racing, that's for sure.
Your dad was so sweet this morning, big smile on his face. From someone that knows him well, what do you think he was feeling ahead of this qualifying session?
A lot of excitement, I'm sure a little bit of nerves, but all in all, he's very focused, excited to be out here. It's been 30 years since he's been in a race car, so he's going to give it a go.
Andrew, as we talk about the Ferrari Challenge series, one of the things that I love is just how much of a family sport that becomes out here as well. As you see the Petromalos, we got the Fabras, we got the Parinas, all in the family here in Ferrari.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see, isn't it? So many families in pit lane, and you see very proud dads coming in, and in this case, very proud kids coming in, watching the rest of them. Yeah, great stuff. Fantastic. Yeah, I love to see it. Often you get the debrief from dad or kids separately, you know, and I like to ask the fathers sometimes when the kid isn't there, because you know that dad is sometimes letting the kid take the lead in terms of what they want to say to the media, you know, to us when we're there, or to you as an expert driver. And, you know, you'll ask them together and it's all smiles, and you ask them separately, and dad might admit a little bit of nerves about it or whatever, and or how well they're doing and how proud they are. Yeah, it's lovely. It's really good to see. It's a nice atmosphere in Casa Ferrari, isn't it, always?
Yeah, this is it's all-around great weekend. You have the action on track, but then Ferrari has really put great surroundings, not only racing, and we have areas where you can see the legendary Ferrari cars, racing cars or the street cars, but then you have also our latest car models, and then Casa Ferrari, where you can bring the family, friends, sponsors, and they can enjoy the racing weekend in the best possible way.
It's got air conditioning as well, and you needed that yesterday. It definitely did. Some of the guests are on level 8 of the tower here that me and Tony are lucky enough to be in the pagoda, which is a real honour. It's just one of those buildings you see so many times on footage of this incredible venue. And then our producer Amanda said, "Oh, your commentary box is in the pagoda." I was like, sweet. So yeah, it's really cool. We went up to level 8 yesterday, didn't we, for some filming, and you just get a wonderful view of the track as we see Melissa Kozira, who is currently in P4. Great stuff, 1.2 off the top lap time. She's coming through the chicane there at 5 and 6. Yeah, Tony, we were talking earlier about the cars. The top drivers are still very much under load on the exit of 4 into 5 and 6. That's quite tricky then when you want to set the car up but also commit to the gas for the exit.
That is true. You need to be careful, even with the change of direction from 4, 5 and 6, and you need to have the right moves, the car in the right place, but also the way you play with the steering wheel. At that speed, you cannot really overturn. You cannot play with the steering wheel too much, so you need to be careful. Also, the way you ride the curbs, that the car is not bottoming and throwing you out of the racing line. So it's a very fine line to be in the right place and do it the right way, and then instead running into the trouble. And this is the thing with this track. There's a lot of those small details almost in every corner, driving wise, racing line wise, how to ride and how much take the curb.
Let's see what Melissa can do. Her best qualifying performance this year has been P4. She crosses the line now. She stays in P4, but I think she's brought the gap down looking at that. It's come down to 0.9. Might be able to see if that was her last, was her best.
Yeah,
yes, it was.
She overshot turn 1 a bit.
Okay, so best lap on her last lap, yeah, 1:26.3. So she did indeed take some time out of the cars in front. Owens coming down, currently in P2 and only 0.065 off, doesn't improve on this lap, so Hrib is going to be our pole sitter because the checker flag is out, unless one of the drivers who's still out there can do something about it. Now these drivers, Tony, they will get slightly more laps out of the Pirelli because they're not using it quite so hard. They're not quite so on the limit, so that you would maybe see a later pole in a session for Copper Shell or Copper Shell Am.
Yeah, normally we see with our Shell drivers, so there's a little bit more margin and to be gained driving-wise. It takes a little bit more time for them to get to their limit and to their fastest lap time. So that's why it's not only a question about 1 or 2 flying laps. Maybe you need even 5 or 6 to get the best performance out. But this is very typical, very natural way to do it, and nothing wrong about it.
So Gabe Hrib at the moment sitting in pole. I say that would be his second pole of the year after he took one at Sonoma earlier on. Yes. Woo. He's comfortable, it's in the bag. So Hrib down in pit lane already. I say he had a pole in Sonoma, he's not been off the podium all year. He is the championship leader at the moment. And he looks very pleased indeed, and rightly so with that performance. I thought we were going to see a bit of slipstreaming down the front straight there, but everybody rolling off the throttle as the checker is out. You can see up on the gantry at the top there. Still a few cars to finish circulating. That's Vartugian, but you can see he's already taken the checkered flag. Top left of your screen there shows you which drivers have been through the checker. And some of the drivers that are still out won't now take the checker on track. They'll just roll off and come into pit lane on their way out of the final corner. They can go slightly off to the right. Here you go, you'll see now. So as they turn into the right-hand side here, if they go off to the right of your picture, they're going for another lap. And if they go left, then they're heading into pit lane. Here we go. They're going to run wide. There you go, pit lane. That's what we thought. So Gabe Hrib with the pole, 1:25.382 by 0.065 of a second from Owens. And Lundberg a further 0.2 of a second back. Melissa Kozera has equalled her best qualifying position this season with a P4 as well. Amanda Busick is with Gabe Hrib, who looked very pleased indeed with that performance. Second pole of the year. He's never been off the podium.
Wow. As you can see, still said wow as he picks up the pole here in race number 1. And Gabe, I saw you setting yourself ahead of qualifying. You were over with your team almost silent. What is your preparation as you set forward in qualifying?
I just try to focus on what's on, what we're about to do, and just try to clear my mind. And it's really tough to do that, but with the heat that we've had all week, and I had a mishap on practice on Thursday and hit the wall, and my team, the Lowry Rosa Corsa, did such a great job of putting my car back together so I can get back out there and practice, and we just put it together today, and really proud.
The first 2 rows in today's race will line up exactly how they are in the points. How tough is the competition in your class this season?
Super tough. Everybody is so close, and all these guys are true gentlemen, just great bunch of people. We're all cheering each other on like we're all brothers from another mother.
Gabe Hrib will take us to the green flag later on this afternoon.
Fist pump for Gabe, well done. Fantastic second pole of the year. Here's a lovely slow-mo of him on a decent push lap as well. Here we go, look, watch this, down in towards the curbs. How much curb does he take? Go on, take loads, it's in slow-mo. No, okay, not this time. Not this time.
Yeah, that's very interesting topic, is how the driver concentrates for qualifying, how to get the best out of you. Some drivers, they end up being a bit too nervous, end up overdriving, and you don't set up that best lap time. Instead, how to use that energy the right way and then have performance like Gabe Hrib had today in his qualifying. So get the best out of yourself and your race car. A lot of things, a lot of thoughts goes through the driver's mind, and a lot of differences are made inside the helmet.
Yeah, he's done a brilliant job, hasn't he? Pole with a 125.382 from Michael Owens and Jeffrey Nürnberg. Your top three. Melissa Kozira equals, I'd say, her best qualifying this year with a P4. Ed Vartugian, Lance Corley, Tom Petromolo and Fabian Sperman are your top 8. Take a look further down the order. 1.3 seconds across those drivers. Louis Flory. Louis, I gather I'm saying your name wrong. If any of his family are about, give me a shout on Instagram, Andrew_Coley. And Louis, I'll come and find you later on and get it right. My apologies. There's a lot of drivers around the world, and yeah, I occasionally get it wrong. Henry Hummel, Dana Goodwin, Bernard Gomez, Anthony DiCarlo, Steve Check, Jeffrey Keel down to P15. Same goes for all the drivers. Actually, do give us a shout if we're getting it wrong. We're happy to be corrected. And that's it, I think. Is it for Copper Shell? It is indeed. That's our 15 drivers. So we've got one last session to come. The green flag is out. And the cars are rolling out of pit lane. And we haven't had an incident so far, touch wood. That's the announcer's curse. So hopefully everybody will keep it smooth. Yeah, be quiet, Coley. Don't say anything.
Yeah, I think we had one small
one
touch.
wall tap.
Yeah, one tap at the wall.
No flags, though,
no,
you know?
No, and drivers behaving very well on track. It seems like everybody had their own space in qualifying, not a lot of issues with the traffic, and yeah, even the weather is holding up nicely, so it's foaming up, shaping up a great start for a beautiful day.
You're looking at Mitchell Green in the background in the red and white, and in front of him William Naranjo in the 107. I say Mitchell behind him in the 179 is with the red and white colours, is the championship leader at the moment. 2 poles, 5 podiums, was P5 in the one race in Miami. I forget what happened to him there, but I saw Mitchell yesterday in Casa Ferrari. There is a chance. I'm interested to see what happens to Mitchell today, because his kids are going to a camp tomorrow and he wants to drop his kids to camp. Now, if he does it, he'll miss qualifying tomorrow and he'll have to fight his way through the field. But he had a big grin on his face. He was up for it. I said, OK, mate, if you miss quali, I'll tell our director to follow you for 3 laps. I said, if you're still killing it after 3 laps, we'll follow you. I said, but if you're not making hay, you know, we're going to move on. And he was laughing. But we spoke to his driver coach this morning, Jamie Morrow, and Jamie was saying, I think it will depend on what happens today. If he wins today, he thinks he'll drop the kids to camp tomorrow and miss quali. He'll be feeling confident. If he doesn't, maybe he'll go, you know what, the kids are going to have to go with my wife, and I'll do qualifying. So Mitchell, let's see you get it done. Because I kind of want to see the fight back, Tony. I love the idea of the championship leader going, I'm going to skip quali. You know, I'm a family man. I'm going to start from the back of the pack. We'd like to see a fight through, wouldn't we?
Yeah, but it's not an easy call, because always all our drivers, they are fighters and they have the racing spirit. So.
And he's championship leader. You know, you don't want to get to the end of the year, do you? And go, oh man, I wish I'd done quali in Indy. So we'll see.
And Mitchell, I've been following him this season. He's a driver that takes his racing very seriously. A lot of practice, a lot of preparation behind the actual race weekends. He's been even out with the old Formula 2 or GP2 car. So
with
the single seater. So
he's got a GT car here as well, hasn't he, this weekend?
Yeah. So he's getting the experience and improving with all types of racing cars. So
Belichick, I'm sure that's another new livery, but it looks cool. That looks very cool. I'll take that. That's wicked, isn't it? Look at that.
Yeah, beautiful looking race car.
That is what we like to see. That's Gary Ott. Gary's having a good year as well with 2 P3s and a P2. Currently leading here. Gary hasn't had a pole this year, so he'd like to hang on to that. Look at my, if I have a quick look at Copper Shell and see who's had the poles. Mitchell Green, as they had the 2 in Sonoma. Jan Bernier got 1 each in Daytona and Miami. Ernst Kirchmeier got pole at the first Daytona and then was immediately promoted up to the next level. And of course, we didn't have a pole in the first race in Miami because their session got red flagged. So it was decided by championship positions. So Gary Ott, could he get his first pole of the year? I saw him again this morning. He was all smiles, looking super chilled out in hospitality.
Yeah, he has very good racing lines through these corners 7, 8, 9, even 10. Looking good.
Talking yesterday to Mitchell Green again, and he said that in the simulator he gets a quicker time if he uses the brake in those corners, a little bit of left foot brake in each, but he said in real life he can't do it, and he's finding it easier just to roll off the throttle and pitch the car in a little bit more smoothly.
Yeah, that's very, very good and interesting point, because that sector of the or sequence of the corners, with the tap of left foot braking, you can get the nose down a bit and you create more grip to the front tires, so you have less understeer. But it's really depending on how you set up your race car, and also for your driving style, because there's very fine line when you play with the throttle and brake at the same time to lose actually more time. So you need to be expert and really skillful to do it the right way.
Chuck Whittle and Brian Waltersdorf have moved up to P2 and P3 as you ride on board with Jan Bernier. Jan Bernier is down in P5 at the moment. There's the dump of the wastegate, which you hear when they come off the throttle. Through the right-hander, and this will on the throttle early. Here's the chicane through 5 and 6. And now onto the back straight for Bernier. And Mitchell Green's gone fastest. So Mitchell Green has gone quickest. He deposes Gary Ott by 0.091 of a second. So there's not a lot in it, to be fair. That's a great lap by Ott. He has qualified well this year. He qualified in P3 at the very first round, Gary Ott. So P2 quali would be his best. Naranjo 9th, drops down to 10th as someone goes up above him and then moves back up again. Oh, Mitchell Green using a little bit too much white line there. Tony next to me sat up in the seat as well. So is Green going to go quicker on this lap? He could get balked in these last couple of corners.
Yeah, he's running into traffic a bit. He's really using the track.
Oh, Naranjo isn't using as much track by a long, long way. Mitchell Green might get balked here. He's still in the pole already. He may even roll out of this if he feels he doesn't want to get tangled up. Comes out towards the white line, out towards the wall. Naranjo in front. Mitchell Green coming down. 124.916 is what he was on before, and he doesn't go quicker this time. Maybe that last sector just compromised a bit.
Yeah, I think actually going through the last corner, Mitchell picked up a lot of understeer. He was so close to the other driver, and he lost the aero balance. The front of the car just couldn't handle the speed, and on this part of the track, he was running more towards the wall, exit wall, and he had to back off. So I think he lost at the last sector the lap time he was chasing.
You're looking at Lisa Clark in the 127, Ferrari Beverly Hills. Yeah, interesting talking to the drivers again about tyre deck and what they're expecting to happen. And most of them are saying they've got understeer or an exit. Some of them are saying as the tyres wear, if you brake too deep into the corner, you get oversteer on the way in and then understeer on the way out. So lots for them to think about. Medler was saying he likes a car with understeer in terms of the setup, but that as the tyres go, he gets a bit more. So lots to think about in the race later on today.
So with the new tires, when you have fresh rubber underneath your car, it almost always hides the issues. If you have understeer or oversteer car on a longer run, you can have a good balance with new tires, with sticker tires in qualifying. And then with our 30-minute race, we can have a big variation and big gaps based on how the car is handling over several laps. So that's where the balance changes, and that's where other driver prefers to have more neutral, even oversteering car, thinking that I correct the car and I drive the car the way I want. And like you mentioned, some drivers want the rear to be more stable braking and turn in, and then just to predict the amount of understeer you have later on.
Gary Ott and Orsini have gone quicker than Mitchell Green.
Yeah, we've seen a few qualifyings during the season where Mitchell Green parks his race car very early from P1, and then later on in the session other drivers are able to improve. So very good start for the qualifying for Mitchell, but now the other two drivers have improved.
So Gary Ott then on for his first pole position of the season. You're looking at Orsini, who's in P2. He's 0.222 of a second down. Mitchell look only 0.029. The gaps are absolutely tiny across those top five. Bernier look as well in P5. And what is it? It's less than a second across the top five. And I think Ott's gone quicker because Orsini's now 0.5 off. So Gary Ott is still going quicker out there now. Mitchell Green's still out there too in the 179. So with 3 minutes left, can Mitchell Green respond here? They'll be on the radio to him telling him. Bernier up to P2 as well. So there is still life in the tyres for the Copper Shell runners late in the session.
Yeah, Mitchell goes up to P3. He was P4 already.
So he's moved up a place and he'd gone down because Bernier had moved in front of him. It is Jan Bernier and Mitchell Green who are locked in that fight for the championship. There's only 2 points in between them. There's a point for pole, isn't there, as well? So they might well want those extra points. Might be worth the push lap for it. Chuck Whittle there with the chrome finish in the background. Jan Bernier over on the right-hand side of your screen, I thought, had decided to bin this lap. He doesn't take the full width of the road. Is he going to get in the way of Whittle? I don't think so. Nicely done. Bernier, great gentlemanly driving there, moves out of the way because he knows the drivers behind him are still pushing. Bernier is within 0.028 of a second of our leader, Gary Ott.
Did Jack Whittle stop on the track? Almost looked like at turn 10 he stopped.
Didn't see. I must admit I was looking at the timing screen at the time.
Or maybe he kept going.
Jarrett Bilacek in P10, who you're looking at with the yellow and sort of dark grey livery. Just say we were very much admiring earlier on. With a minute 32 left, this should be the last lap for most of these drivers. And say by now, the front runners in Copper Shell will certainly be feeling that the Pirellis will have had their best laps in them, I think. I'm kind of keen for Gary to get his first pole.
Yeah, he's looking good.
Yeah.
He's a minute to go and he's leading right now.
Okay, we're on board with Bernier, who might be the driver to deny him. He's only 0.028 of a second behind into the right-hander. You can see just adjusting the steering for the understeer on the exit. He's flat through the chicane, nicely done, using the curve for both sides of the road. He's coming down now to the big bumpy braking zone. Does he get right out to the white line? He doesn't, so there's a couple of feet more he could be using there, although he might be avoiding some of the bumps, having not done a lap here. Would you want to be all the way out or no, Tony?
Coming out of 7, you mean?
No, the braking zone in there, he was a few feet off the curb on the way in.
Yeah, I mean, where you find the most confident thing, but important is coming out of 7, that then you have a good line through the S's. So breaking really into 7 is a lot about the confidence, and you need to use the downshift as well to help the car to stop in the right distance.
Bernier, to me, yeah, I was going to say, it looked like he'd run wide in the previous corner. He was almost on the grass, and I think he might be going, you know what, discretion is the better part of valour. I'll park it. So Bernier has accepted that he will be P2. The checkered flag is out on the gantry here at IMS as the clock rolls down to 0:00. And Gary Ott, with Mitchell Green having pitted as well, and the other drivers being too far back. Gary Ott gets his first pole position of 2025. He had a P3 in qualifying back in Sonoma, but this is a fantastic result. He'll be over the moon with that, I'm sure, as we wait for the drivers to come back to pit road. What a great session. Super clean driving from everybody. See, a one tap of the wall for a driver in our very first session. I forget who that was. Unfortunate for them, but we've had no flags, no issues. Brilliant job by the track crew as well, getting the car recovered, and we've had a great session. What a start to the day. It's Jan Bernier, who's obviously very happy with second, and of course that puts him on the front row ahead of his championship rival Mitchell Green, who will start on the inside of row 2 with Kevin Orsini outside.
Oh, you were so close.
That's nice to see, isn't it? Massimo Prina straight over. 0.028 of a second, yeah, very close indeed. Less than 300ths of a second. There's still cars out on track. We'll just check that nobody steals it in the last seconds of this session. Brian Walterstorff crosses the line for the checkered flag, as does Bilacek. They both stay in P8 and P9. Bilacek 8th, Walterstorff 9th. There we are. Session done. Fantastic job by Gary Ott. You can see the pagoda in the background. Beautiful blue skies with a hint of cloud here. No cloud, though, for Gary Ott. He will be over the moon with that. It is pole position by 0.028 of a second from Jan Bernier, Mitchell Green P3. So our championship front runners right up there at the front as well. Kevin Orsini, Brad Evans, Roy Carroll, Chuck Whittle, Jarrett Bilacek are your top 8. 1.5 seconds separates, though. Just a second, though, if you look over the top 7. Super close between them. Brian Walterstorff, Lisa Clark, Mike Luley, William Naranjo, Osvaldo Gallo, Joel Rose, Richard Pineda down to P15. No times for Rose or Pineda down at the bottom there. That doesn't mean they won't start later. Let's see. Amanda Busick is with Gary Ott, who I reckon is going to have a big smile on his face.
Oh, I think you can see that. Fared well. Andrew just said they didn't make it easy on me. A second career pole for Gary Ott, your first this season. And you were lighting it up in practice as well, one of the fastest Ferraris around this track. What about your driving style fits here, Gary?
I think it's the coach, and I think it's the team, it's the car preparation, it's my competitors. Yesterday I put down a fast lap because I went out right behind Jan, and I knew that was going to be great. And so it's just awesome. I just want to say that my car number is 106, and the 6 represents my 6 grandchildren. So, yeah, and they're all watching, half of them are here. But I'm just happy to be here in Indianapolis. This is crazy. Yeah.
Well, congratulations to Grandpa Gary, who will lead us to green here in Cobuchel.
Gary doesn't look old enough to have 6 grandkids, does he? He looks over the moon with that pole position. A big smile on his face. Hello to the whole of Gary Ott's family, especially the 6 grandkids represented by the 106 in his car. We did not know that. A lot of curb over at the back there. What a fantastic lap time. Gary Ott, as Amanda Busick said, with his second pole of his career, but his first of this year. Absolutely made up with it. The golfers are out there having a nice time. Look, rolling a few balls into the holes out there. What do you reckon to the swing there, Tony?
I'm not a real professional of the golf, but it's looking good. It's looking good.
Golf commentary for me and Tony Villander next. I'm Andrew Coley. My thanks to Amanda Busick down in pit lane and Tony Villander up here in the pagoda with us. There's the Indianapolis skyline. If you'd like to join us later on and see if our pole sitters can hang on to the top step of the podium later on today, you can be with us at 1:45 Eastern time. So 1:45 p.m. this afternoon Eastern time for more Ferrari Challenge action. We will see you then.